The night sky was calm, peaceful, and ordinary, or at least that is what everyone on Earth thought. Children played in yards, couples walked under streetlights, and the oceans reflected the stars above. But deep in the darkness of space, a shadow moved, one that would change humanity forever. A fleet appeared, massive beyond imagination, stretching across the heavens. The Zirans had arrived. Their ships were black and jagged, enormous as mountains, and lined with lights that burned cold and alien. They moved silently, as if the universe itself had no power to stop them. Governments scrambled. Alarms blared across every city. Military leaders barked orders to prepare weapons, scramble fighters, and ready planetary defenses. Yet beneath the surface of panic there was an undeniable truth. Earth had never faced anything like this. The Zirans were merciless conquerors. Every world they touched turned to ash. Their approach meant one thing: destruction. In a quiet observatory high above the city, Captain Elena Reyes stared through the telescope. Her hands were trembling, but her eyes burned with a fierce determination. She had spent her life training for moments like this, though she had never imagined they would come so soon, or so terrifying. She saw the vast shadow of the Ziran fleet stretching across the sky and felt a mix of fear and awe. "They think they can take us," she whispered to herself, her voice steady despite the pounding in her chest. "They don't know who we are." Every human felt it, the cold fear that rose in the belly, the ache of helplessness, the desperate need to survive. And yet, beneath that fear, something else sparked: defiance. Humanity, fragile as it was, had a stubborn streak that refused to bend, refused to kneel, refused to surrender. The Zirans sent a message that shook the world. It appeared on every screen, every device, every communication channel simultaneously. "Surrender. Your world is ours. Resistance is meaningless." People read it and felt a chill, but Elena's eyes narrowed. "Then let them try," she said. Her words were not just hope, they were a promise. She knew the fight ahead would be impossible. The Ziran Armada was immense, their weapons unmatched, their experience in conquest limitless, and yet there was a fire in humanity that the aliens could not see, a fire born of love for their world, their families, their lives. The first sightings of the Zirans over cities brought chaos. Massive shadows eclipsed the moon. Fighter jets streaked into the sky, but their bullets were tiny sparks against the alien hulls. Missiles arced, only to be torn apart by fields of energy that the Zirans had mastered over countless wars. Oh, people of Earth watched, terrified and mesmerized as the sky turned into a battlefield. Cities lit up with flares from defense grids. Smoke rose in clouds, drifting across landscapes, darkening the stars. Yet in that darkness there were pockets of light, small human ships, nimble and fast, darting through enemy lines. Scientists, engineers, and soldiers worked around the clock to implement secret strategies and technology designed for moments like this. Among them was the Horizon, humanity's fastest and most advanced ship, captained by Elena herself. It was more than a vessel, it was a symbol, a statement that Earth would fight, no matter the cost. In homes across the planet, people whispered prayers. Some cried, some hid, some stood tall. The Zirans had underestimated humanity. They assumed fear would break humans before the first shot was fired. But what they did not know, what they could not see, was that humans were ready to die for their home, to fight against impossible odds, and to show the galaxy that even a fragile species could possess a strength that no conqueror could comprehend. The tar, night air hummed with anticipation. Stars flickered as if holding their breath. And above it all, Elena gripped the controls of the Horizon and whispered again, louder this time, "They may be vast, but we will not fall." As the Ziran fleet loomed over Earth, casting dark shadows that swallowed cities in silence, humanity prepared in ways the invaders could never imagine. To the Zirans, Earth seemed weak, primitive, and ripe for conquest. They saw only a world of unarmed people and fragile machines. What they did not see was the secret humanity had kept for decades, a hidden weapon unlike any other. Deep beneath the mountains, in bunkers hidden from satellites, scientists worked tirelessly. Engineers constructed machines designed to turn the planet itself into a fortress. Satellites were programmed not just to observe but to fight. Artificial intelligence calculated millions of attack scenarios, predicting enemy moves faster than any Xeran commander could. This was the Aegis Protocol, a system that would allow Earth to fight like a living being using every resource, air, water, energy, even gravity itself, to defend its people. The Xerans, proud and arrogant, assumed victory was inevitable. They sent the first wave of ships toward Earth. Massive warships descended through the atmosphere, dropping smaller attack drones that swarmed cities. Their weapons fired continuously, scorching the ground and igniting fires. Humanity responded, but not with blind retaliation. With precision and strategy, small human forces launched counterattacks. Fighter jets dodged massive energy beams. Orbital stations released flares that drew Xeran fire into traps. Even ordinary satellites, often overlooked, became instruments of war, collapsing alien drones with precise strikes. On the horizon, Captain Elena Reyes prepared for a mission that could decide the fate of the planet. Her ship, sleek and fast, cut through the void, dodging alien fire with skill that seemed almost instinctive. Around her, her crew braced for danger, their eyes reflecting fear, determination, and pride. "We aren't just defending Earth," Elena said, her voice steady over the comms. "We are showing them who humanity truly is." For the Xerans, the first human resistance was unexpected, almost impossible to comprehend. Their leaders, used to world surrendering after hours or days, were confronted by a species that fought with cunning and fearless determination. Every tactic they tried was countered, every strategy anticipated. The humans adapted quickly, learning from each encounter, turning failure into opportunity, and Earth itself became a weapon. Energy fields pulsed from the planet's surface, guided by AI calculations. Meteors were redirected to crash into the invaders. Urban landscapes became fortified traps. Even the oceans and atmosphere were used to disorient and destroy. To the Xerans, it was chaos, an unpredictable storm they could not control. But to humanity, it was survival, a demonstration of intelligence, courage, and relentless willpower. Amidst the battle, ordinary people on the ground played their part. Engineers repaired damaged defense systems in hours. Civilians worked to keep cities functioning, rescuing the injured and keeping hope alive. Children watched the sky in awe, not just terrified, but inspired. Humanity's spirit shone brighter than any weapon. Elena piloted the horizon through asteroid storms and alien fire, her heart pounding but her mind sharp. She could see the vast Xeran fleet, its arrogance faltering as the humans struck with unrelenting precision. The first wave of alien ships exploded in flames, a sign that the impossible might just be achievable. "They think they are invincible," Elena whispered. "They don't know. Earth fights differently." In the darkness of space, something changed. Humanity, tiny and underestimated, was no longer hiding. They were rising, brilliant and unbroken, ready to defend their world and prove that courage, strategy, and the human spirit could stand against any conqueror. The first battle had begun, and already the galaxy was watching. The sky above Earth was no longer a quiet expanse of stars. It had become a battlefield, alive with fire, smoke, and the echoes of war. The Xeran Armada, immense and merciless, stretched across the horizon. Their ships loomed like dark mountains, glowing with alien energy. The humans, small and fragile in comparison, moved like sparks of defiance against the black storm. "Captain," Elena Reyes gripped the controls of the horizon, her knuckles white. Around her, her crew moved with precision, executing maneuvers they had practiced 1,000 times, but now under the pressure of life and death. "Focus on the drones first," Elena ordered. "Keep the bigger ships distracted. We need every advantage we can get." The first clash erupted with terrifying intensity. Xeran drones, sleek and deadly, swarmed like a black wave. Their weapons fired continuously, cutting through clouds and lighting up the night sky. Explosions rocked the atmosphere, sending shockwaves that rattled cities below. Yet humanity fought back. Fighter jets darted through alien fire, dodging energy beams with uncanny skill. Satellites released concentrated bursts of energy that shattered enemy hulls. Even small civilian crafts retrofitted with weapons joined the fray. Every human movement was calculated, precise, and unyielding. Elena's heart pounded. She had faced drills and simulations, but nothing could prepare her for this, the real battle, where every decision could mean death. She watched as ships fell one by one, shredded by debris from exploding vessels or trapped by gravity wells engineered by Earth's AI. It was chaos, but a controlled chaos, a storm that humanity had learned to command. The Zirans, for the first time, felt doubt. Their pride, built over countless conquests, could not understand what they saw. "How are they thinking so fast?" one commander shouted. "They anticipate every move." Another cried out as a massive cruiser, intended to crush a city, was ripped apart by a combination of human missiles and gravitational forces. The invaders debut. They're powerful, but humans were unpredictable. They adapted, improvised, and struck with intelligence the Zirans had never encountered. Amid the explosions and fire, Elena caught sight of her first true enemy flagship. It was colossal, its hull, black and jagged, bristling with weapons. It was the heart of the Ziran fleet, the symbol of their power. "That's our target," she said quietly. Her crew nodded, their eyes filled with a mixture of fear and resolve. They knew the odds, they knew the danger, and yet they trusted their captain and humanity itself. As the horizon weaved through laser fire and debris, Elena's mind raced. Every move, every calculation had to be perfect. One mistake, one hesitation, and they would be annihilated. Yet even in the chaos, she felt something profound, a sense of connection with every human fighting below, on the ground, in the skies, and in orbit. They were all part of the same storm, the same defiance, the same hope. The first major strike came when the horizon unleashed the Aegis Pulse, a concentrated energy burst that tore through the hull of the enemy flagship. Explosions erupted like a supernova, sending fragments of metal and fire in every direction. Nearby Ziran ships scrambled, confused and disoriented. The humans seized the moment, pressing the attack, targeting ships that had previously seemed untouchable. Below, people watched the sky with wide eyes, hearts racing. Fear was still there, sharp and cold, but so was awe. Humanity was fighting not just for survival, but for pride, for identity, for the right to exist. And in every strike, every maneuver, every courageous act, they sent a message across the void. Earth does not bow. Earth does not surrender. Hours passed, though it felt like days. Ships fell, fires burned, and the air was thick with tension. The humans had won small victories, enough to show the Zirans that they were not weak. Yet Elena knew the first clash was only the beginning. This was a warning shot, a taste of what humanity could do. And in her heart, she carried one unshakable truth. They would not stop until Earth was safe, until the invaders learned the cost of underestimating humans. The sky grew quiet for a moment, as if the universe itself was holding its breath. The first clash had ended, but the war had only just begun, and humanity had shown its face to the galaxy. A small, fragile, and underestimated species with courage that could ignite stars. The battlefield of space stretched endlessly, a canvas of fire, smoke, and shattered metal. The Ziran Armada, once confident and unstoppable, now reeled in confusion. Their ships floated in disorder, systems failing, hulls breached, and commanders shouting orders that could not be executed fast enough. Humanity had struck in ways they never imagined. Small, fragile, unpredictable humans were not just resisting, they were destroying the heart of the Armada. Captain Elena Reyes stared through the viewport of the horizon. Her eyes, fierce and unyielding, tracked the movements of the remaining Ziran ships. "We've broken their formation," she said, her voice steady. Her crew nodded silently, knowing this was their chance. Every sensor, every weapon, every maneuver had led to this moment. Humanity had fought not just with courage, but with intelligence, turning the enemy's strengths into weaknesses. The Xerans, for all their experience in conquest, had underestimated one thing: humans adapt. They learned fast, thinking ahead, using the environment as a weapon. Satellites, orbital defense systems, and even the very gravity of the planet were now tools in humanity's hands. The Aegis protocol pulsed like a heartbeat through space, coordinating attacks with pinpoint precision. Even Xeran leaders could feel the change, their arrogance melting into panic. Elena knew exactly what she had to do. Her target was the flagship, the massive vessel at the center of the Armada. It was the source of their command, their pride, their perceived invincibility. One strike here could break the entire fleet. The horizon weaved through a storm of debris and fire, dodging laser beams that could cut through steel like paper. Her crew worked in perfect synchronization, every calculation and maneuver critical. When they reached striking distance, Elena activated the Aegis pulse. A surge of concentrated energy shot from the horizon, guided by Earth's orbital network. The pulse struck the flagship, tearing through its armor and igniting explosions that spread across the vessel like wildfire. Nearby Xeran ships faltered, caught off guard by the unexpected force. Chaos erupted. Fireballs filled space. Debris scattered, and for the first time the Xerans tasted fear. Below, humanity watched in awe and hope. Cities lit up with cheers as the first major victory was broadcast across the planet. The Xerans' confidence, built over countless conquests, shattered in moments. Yet Elena knew this was only the beginning. There were still hundreds of ships left, and the enemy would regroup. The fight was far from over. But something had changed. The Xerans were no longer untouchable gods of war. They were vulnerable. And humanity, tiny and fragile, had shown that courage, intelligence, and unity could turn the tide. Elena's voice, calm and commanding, rang across the horizon. They thought we were weak. They thought we would fall. Now they will see what it means to face humans. The remaining Xeran commanders tried to rally, but their ships moved like frightened animals, uncoordinated and slow. Humanity seized the advantage, pressing the attack with skill, strategy, and relentless determination. One by one, enemy vessels were destroyed or forced to retreat. The first major victory was complete. Humanity had not only defended Earth, they had shaken the galaxy. In the silent moments after the chaos, Elena allowed herself a breath. Her hands were still tense on the controls, but her heart swelled with pride. Humanity had done the impossible. They had shown the Xerans that even a small, underestimated species could be a force that no invader could ignore. The war was far from over, but a message had been sent. Earth would never bow. Earth would never surrender. The Xeran Armada was in chaos. Their pride had been shattered by humans who had fought with courage, strategy, and relentless determination. Yet the aliens were far from defeated. They regrouped at the edge of the solar system, desperate to strike back, desperate to regain control. But humanity was ready, stronger and wiser than before. Captain Elena Reyes and the Horizon led a fleet of human ships into the void. It was no longer a simple defense mission. They were attacking. Every vessel, from the largest warship to the smallest drone, moved with precision, striking at the enemy before the Xerans could organize. Humans had learned from the first clash, adapting faster than any conqueror could predict. The galaxy watched as Earth's defenders transformed from underdogs into unstoppable hunters. The Xerans fired relentlessly, but humanity's strategy was unmatched. Orbital defenses coordinated with ships, redirecting enemy fire into traps. Meteors and debris were used as weapons, crashing into alien cruisers with devastating effect. Even the planet itself became part of the arsenal. Gravity fields, magnetic pulses, and energy bursts created a battlefield humans controlled completely. Elena piloted the Horizon through waves of fire and explosions, her mind sharp despite exhaustion. She watched as the first enemy flagship burned. In orbit, the second crippled and dozens more shredded by human ingenuity. Her crew worked tirelessly, fear replaced by determination, adrenaline guiding every maneuver. "We're not just defending Earth," she said. "We're showing the universe that humans fight differently. We think, we adapt, and we never give up." Below on Earth, people cheered as news spread of humanity's victories. Children and elders alike watched the skies, their fear mingling with hope. For the first time, the humans realized they were not just surviving, they were winning. Ordinary. People worked tirelessly in factories and labs, creating more ships, repairing systems, and supporting the fleet. Every contribution, no matter how small, mattered. The Zirans tried to counterattack, but their arrogance and pride blinded them. They could not comprehend the speed of human adaptation, the unity of purpose, or the unyielding courage that seemed to flow from every soldier, engineer, and pilot. Every maneuver they tried was anticipated and neutralized. Humanity struck again and again, relentlessly, each victory pushing the alien forces further back. Elena's eyes scanned the battlefield, taking in the destruction, the fires, and the brilliance of human resilience. Each explosion was a testament to ingenuity, each victory a declaration. Earth would never be conquered. Yet she knew that despite the triumphs, the war was far from over. The Zirans were cunning, and desperation made them dangerous. But humanity had already sent a message to the galaxy. They were not weak. They were not helpless. They were fierce, intelligent, and unstoppable when united. As the horizon led another coordinated strike, the enemy fleet trembled, knowing that their arrogance had blinded them to a truth they could not ignore. Elena whispered, more to herself than anyone else. They wanted Earth, but they didn't understand what they were facing. We are not just survivors. We are humans, and humans fight like fire. The first real counterattack was complete. Humanity had not only defended their planet, they had struck back, turning the hunters into the hunted. And in the hearts of every person on Earth, a new truth burned brighter than any star. They were capable of the impossible. The remaining Ziran forces were cornered at the edge of the asteroid belt. Their armada, once a seemingly endless tide of destruction, was now reduced to scattered fragments, burning ships, and panicked pilots. Pride had turned to desperation, and desperation had made them reckless. The humans, however, were calm, precise, and unyielding. This was the moment Elena had been waiting for. Aboard the Horizon, Elena's hands moved with speed and certainty, guiding the fastest human ship through a storm of debris and enemy fire. Her crew was exhausted, faces pale from fatigue, yet their eyes burned with determination. Every ship, every human fighter moved as one, a symphony of courage, intelligence, and defiance. "Today," Elena said, voice steady over the comms, "we finish this. For Earth, for humanity, for everyone who believed we could survive." The Zirans scrambled to form a last defensive line. Their flagship, the largest remaining vessel, hovered above the asteroid belt like a black god of war, firing relentlessly. Smaller cruisers tried to flank the humans, but the Aegis protocol had anticipated every move. Satellites pulsed with energy, pulling ships into gravitational traps, redirecting enemy fire and striking with a precision that left the Zirans reeling. Elena pressed forward. The horizon streaked past exploding drones and spinning wreckage. Her crew fired volleys of missiles, beams, and electromagnetic pulses. Each strike tore through enemy hulls, sending fragments of alien metal spinning into space. The Zirans were powerful, yes, but humans were unpredictable. Every human maneuver was calculated, adaptive, and devastatingly effective. The flagship, the center of Ziran command, remained the prize. Elena knew that one decisive blow could end the war. She guided the horizon closer, weaving through a gauntlet of fire and debris. Her fingers danced over the controls, eyes locked on the enemy vessel. Her heart pounded, but fear was replaced with a fierce clarity. Humanity had fought against impossible odds to reach this point, and failure was not an option. The Aegis pulse, amplified by orbital stations and Earth's energy network, was ready. Elena initiated the sequence. A wave of concentrated energy shot forward, striking the flagship's hull. Explosions tore through the massive ship, setting off chain reactions that engulfed nearby vessels. The remaining Xiran ships flailed in chaos, caught in the wake of human ingenuity. Every strike the humans had planned, every trap they had laid, now came to fruition. Space itself seemed to roar as the Xiran Armada crumbled. Shattered ships spun helplessly, fire trails painting the void red and gold. The horizon, nimble and fast, darted between explosions, leading coordinated strikes that destroyed remaining cruisers. The humans had become hunters, the Xirans the hunted. And then the final moment. The Xiran flagship, the last symbol of their power, was drawn into a rift created by human technology. Its immense hull cracked, twisted, and finally imploded, leaving nothing but fragments and fire. The remaining alien ships surrendered or fled, their fleet completely destroyed. The war that had threatened Earth for decades, if not centuries, was over. Elena exhaled, the weight of the battle pressing on her. Around her, the crew of the Horizon cheered, tears streaking faces smeared with soot and sweat. Humanity had done the impossible. They had not only defended their world, they had annihilated an entire armada, a force the galaxy had feared. On Earth, people poured into streets. Fires burned from battle, but celebrations erupted even amidst the chaos. Children, parents, soldiers, scientists, all shared in the victory. Humanity had proven to the universe that it was not weak, not fragile, and not to be underestimated. They had endured, adapted, and conquered in ways no one could have imagined. Elena looked at the stars, now quiet and empty after the storm of war. She felt a mixture of exhaustion, relief, and pride. Humans had faced annihilation and emerged victorious. The Xirans, who thought themselves gods of war, would carry the memory of this defeat forever. For the first time in days, Elena allowed herself to feel it, hope. The stars were still vast, the galaxy still unknown, but Earth had survived, humanity had survived, and in the hearts of every human, one truth burned brighter than any weapon, brighter than any star. They would never bow, never surrender, and never be broken. The battle was over. Space, once ablaze with fire and chaos, had fallen into a silence, so profound it almost hurt to breathe. The Xiran Armada, the fleet that had come to conquer Earth, was gone, destroyed, reduced to drifting fragments and scorched memories. Humanity had survived the impossible, and the universe had seen it. Captain Elena Reyes sat on the bridge of the horizon, staring at the endless stars. Her hands were still trembling, not from fear, but from the enormity of what they had achieved. Around her, the crew worked in quiet reverence, repairing systems and checking supplies. Their exhaustion was deep, but their hearts were lighter than they had been in weeks. They had done the unthinkable. They had faced annihilation, and won. Across Earth, celebrations erupted. People poured into streets, hugging, crying, and laughing. Flags waved, sirens sounded, and for the first time in generations, the planet rejoiced not for survival alone, but for victory. Humanity had not only defended their home, they had rewritten the rules of the galaxy. Stories spread instantly, how humans had destroyed an entire armada, how a species seen as small and fragile had fought with intelligence, courage, and unbreakable spirit. Elena's voice echoed over global communications, steady and proud. They wanted Earth, she said, but they learned something they could never understand. Humans are not just survivors. We are thinkers, we are fighters, and we will never bow. We fight for each other, for our homes, and for the stars. This is our world, and we will protect it, always. The Xirans would never forget. Across the galaxy, the survivors of their once mighty fleet carried the story of humans who could destroy ships larger than cities, who could outthink, outmaneuver, and outlast the greatest conquerors they had ever faced. To them, humanity became something almost mythical, a race that defied expectation, a species small in size but colossal in spirit. But for Earth, the victory was more than legend. It was personal. Families reunited after hiding in shelters. Soldiers returned from the skies to embrace loved ones. Children watched the night sky, stars no longer a symbol of fear but of hope, a reminder that courage could light even the darkest void. Humanity had been tested, and it had emerged stronger, wiser, and united. Elena walked among the people on Earth later that day. The streets were still smoky, and buildings bore scars from the battle, but there was laughter, music, and tears of joy. She stopped and looked at the faces around her, young and old, soldiers and civilians, scientists and children. Every one of them had contributed to this moment, and every one of them had survived because of courage, unity, and heart. A small child ran up to her, eyes wide and full of admiration. "Did humans really destroy all their ships?" the child asked. Elena knelt, smiling softly. "Yes," she said, her voice gentle. "We did, and that's what humans do. We fight when it matters, we protect each other, and we never give up." The child nodded solemnly, understanding in a way that adults sometimes forgot. Humanity had shown its true strength, not in weapons or technology alone, but in heart, unity, and spirit. The galaxy would remember this day, not just for the destruction of an armada, but for the indomitable courage of humans. As night fell, Elena looked once more at the stars. The war was over, but the universe remained vast and full of unknowns. Yet humanity had learned something essential. No matter how small, fragile, or underestimated, they could stand against anything. They could survive, adapt, and even conquer the impossible. Elena raised her gaze to the heavens and whispered, "We are Earth. We are humanity, and we will never be broken." In that quiet moment, the planet breathed, the people celebrated, and the stars themselves seemed to shine a little brighter. Humanity had not only survived the storm, they had become a legend. And in the heart of every human, the truth was clear. Earth would never fall, and humans would never be forgotten. The galaxy had seen it. Humanity had won, and nothing would ever be the same again.